200,000 miles. For most cars, that's pretty much the end of the road. For an electric car, people told me it was a death sentence. That battery will be a paperweight, they'd say. Get ready for a $15,000 replacement bill. The fear-mongering was real. They paint this picture of an EV battery as a ticking time bomb, just waiting to blow up your bank account. Well, I just blew past the 200,000-mile mark, and I've kept the receipts, I've tracked the data, and I'm here to tell you, the reality isn't just different, it's shocking. The health of my original battery is something nobody saw coming, and the money it saved me, that's the part that'll really blow your mind. So, let's forget the myths and dive into the real, hard numbers from 200,000 miles in a Tesla. The backstory and the fear. Let's roll it back a few years. When I first bought this car, owning an EV long-term was a huge question mark. Not just for me, but for almost everyone. My friends, my family, half the internet, they were all singing the same tune, full of warnings. And the biggest one, the one that practically echoed, was always the battery. What happens after 100,000 miles was the big question. Hitting 200,000, that was basically science fiction. The fear came from something we all get. Our phones. We know those batteries degrade, right? Every charge just wears them down until they're useless. So the assumption was a car battery, being way bigger, would be a way bigger problem. The web was crawling with nightmare scenarios of 5-figure repair bills that would wipe out every penny you'd ever saved on gas. I'll admit it was rattling around in my head. Was this a massive financial gamble? Was I going to be the guy with a fancy high-tech brick in his driveway? I decided to take the leap, but I also decided to be obsessed with the details. I was going to track every charge, every dollar to battery health. Okay, the moment you've been waiting for. The number one question. What does the health of a 200,000-mile Tesla battery actually look like? This is the first shock. When my car was brand new, a full charge showed a range of 310 miles. Today, after 200,000 miles of road trips, commuting, and plugging it in almost every night, a 100% charge gives me about 273 miles. Do the math, that's a degradation of only 12%. Let that sink in. I've driven the equivalent of circling the globe 8 times, and this battery has lost just a tiny fraction of its power. Now studies show that after 200,000 miles, most Teslas hold somewhere between 80% to 90% of their original capacity. So my 88% is right in that sweet spot. But here's what the data really shows, and it's fascinating. The degradation isn't a straight line down. Most of it happens early in the first 20,000 or 30,000 miles. After that initial dip, the curve just flattens out. It's not a cliff. It's a gentle slope that basically becomes a plateau. Over the last 100,000 miles, my total range has barely budged. That whole doomsday scenario of a battery just withering away. This thing is built to last. In fact, these battery packs are designed to outlive the average 200,000-mile lifespan of a typical gas car in the US. The shockingly good. Saving a healthy battery is great, but that's only half the story. The real shocker, the part that hits you right in the wallet, is the savings. This is where an EV stops being just an environmental choice and becomes a brilliant financial one. Let's run the numbers. First, fuel. Over 200,000 miles I've tracked every single charge. About 90% of that happens at home, overnight, where my electricity is dirt cheap. The other 10% is from superchargers on road trips. My grand total to fuel this car for 200,000 miles, roughly $5,600. Now, let's put that next to a comparable gas car, say a BMW 3 Series. It gets about 30 miles per gallon. To go 200,000 miles, you'd need almost 6,700 gallons of gas. At a conservative average of $3.75 a gallon, you're looking at over $25,000. That's not chump change. That's a down payment, a family vacation, a serious chunk of your kid's college fund. But it gets better. Let's talk maintenance. Or, really, the lack of it. Here's a list of my major maintenance expenses. Tires. I've replaced the cabin air filter myself a few times. I've bought windshield washer fluid. And that's pretty much it. No oil changes, no spark plugs, no transmission flushes, new belts or exhaust repairs, nothing. Now, have I had a couple of other small repairs over the years? Sure. Things like door handles or suspension parts can wear out on any car, but it's peanuts compared to the alternative. A gas car like that BMW can rack up over $14,000 in maintenance and repairs by this point. We all know someone who's had to drop thousands on a new transmission or catalytic converter. My bill is a tiny fraction of that. You add up the fuel and the maintenance savings, and we are talking well over $30,000. That's not just an advantage. It's a total game changer for what it costs to own a car. I mean, when you lay it all out, the numbers are just staggering, right? If you're finding this real-world breakdown as fascinating as I do, hit that subscribe button. I'm pushing this car towards 300,000 miles, and I'll be sharing every update, so you won't want to miss it. It really helps me keep making videos like this. Addressing the skeptics, of course. Whenever I post these numbers, the skeptics come out of the woodwork, so let's just tackle the buts head on. First up, Yeah, but you must baby it with home charging. Supercharging kills the battery. Look, I've taken this car on tons of road trips, I've used plenty of and my 12% degradation after 200,000 miles is proof that it's not the battery killer everyone claims it is. The car's management system is smart. It protects the battery so you don't have to worry about it. Second, yeah, but what about the cold? I live in a place with actual winter, and yeah, it's true. Extreme cold will temporarily zap some of your range, maybe 20 to 30% on the worst days. The battery has to keep itself warm, and the chemistry is just sluggish in the cold. But here's the thing, it's temporary. It doesn't damage the battery's long-term health. The range comes right back when it warms up. You just plan ahead a little. And my favorites, yeah, but what about the brakes? I bet those are expensive. I love busting this myth. 200,000 miles, and this car is still on its original factory brakes, pads and rotors, and they still have plenty of life left. Why? Regenerative braking. The second I lift my foot off the accelerator, the motor slows the car down and sends power back to the battery. I barely even touch the actual brake pedal unless I have to stop short. On a gas car, I'd be on my third set of brakes by now. Easy. That's thousands of dollars I just didn't spend. So what's the big takeaway after 200,000 miles? The whole idea of a battery cliff is a myth. Plain and simple. The reality is that a modern EV battery is an incredibly durable piece of engineering that degrades slowly and predictably. It's not a liability. It's a long-term asset. My car, with 88% of its original juice, is still a beast for daily driving and cross-country trips. But the real story here isn't about dodging a disaster. It's about a massive, and honestly overlooked, financial win. When you look at the total costs of ownership, the narrative that EVs are just expensive toys completely crumbles. The savings are real, they are huge, and they just keep growing with every mile you drive. This car has completely reset my expectations for a vehicle. It's not just that it's quiet and quick. It's about a smarter, more efficient, and radically cheaper way to own one of the most important machines in our lives. The journey to 200,000 miles wasn't an ending. For this battery, it really feels like it's just warming up. Next up, 300,000. I'll see you there.